Xbox Game Pass, here are 10 suggestions for the month of March. Some are available, some are coming right away. So be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So we're starting here with Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which is an incredible narrative-driven experience where you primarily just take on the role of Star-Lord as you command the Guardians in this original and epic and generally awesome story that is both touching, just intense, fun, engaging. It's an over 16-hour story. It is thrilling and most certainly worth your time. It's the best game I played in the past year, and it is definitely worth checking out. You get to meet this great squad of characters that are completely different from the MCU, but yet, also on brand. And it's just a really fun space adventure that I think is a must-play experience. 100% worth checking out. It's great. This is Tunic. So this game is a bit of a really hardcore Dark Souls-esque sort of adventure type game. Be careful, it's not easy going. The first hour and a half are kind of really, it's really cool. It's filled with mystery and intrigue and excitement, and then it just becomes a complete pain. It is, aesthetically gorgeous, it's got a neat design concept to it, but then it just becomes completely, open-ended. There's no sort of guidance, there's no help. So I'm kind of suggesting it for a particular group of individuals that like really hardcore types of games. It is quite cool, but yeah, this game just gets absolutely brutally intense and just not as fun, but yeah, I thought it would be a good one to highlight because it is kind of a very unique sort of title. This is Shredders, which is a kind of return to old school amped-like form. It's more of a technical type snowboarding game, but it's still kind of fun. So if you're willing to kind of learn some of the controls here or there, you can have fun shredding a number of different mountains, pulling off different tricks, and working through the YouTuber's dream of, well, I guess you would say snowboarding YouTuber's dream of being crazy on the hills, making those points, advancing to new slopes. There's like some multiplayer integrated elements which are kind of cool, and you just sort of go along shredding away. And the snow deformation technology is actually really cool in this one. So you get a good sense of scope, you get some action, you get some excitement, and it's definitely something you can have quite a lot of fun playing as you discover the, well, frosty open snow blanket areas that are present. This is Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy XIII. The last chapter in the Final Fantasy XIII experience where Lightning basically is on a mission from God. Sounds a little Blues Brothers-esque, but that's really where things are headed. It features some different combative type systems, some different types of gameplay, but it's very much on brand with the previous two. So the other two were also Game Pass edition titles. They basically were doing them like every couple of months or something, and this is the final one of the 13 package. So you can finally sit there and enjoy the whole sort of journey. Hopefully you've had enough time to play the other two, as well. You probably could jump into this one fresh, I suppose. It definitely does make a lot more sense if you actually do kind of play them in a row so that you get the full sort of story here, which is kind of nuts and crazy when you actually think about what it is.
Is it to use it against us somehow?
You'll have to ask him yourself.
Kentucky Route Zero. So this is more of a laid-back, narrative-driven, point-and-click, with very light interaction story that is quite dynamic, very changing. It's moody, it's aesthetically quite unique, and it's a very different sort of experience that I think kind of shows off that games can have more of a, I guess you would say, cinematic type of experience. It's a very, very unique and different sort of game where, again, dialogue, narrative, and storytelling is at the forefront, and it doesn't necessarily have anything crazy in complexity of what you're doing. Light interactions, just to be very clear about that. This is Young Souls, which is a bit of a hack and slash with a dynamic swapping system, where you're this duo trying to fight back against all of these creatures in what has a very interesting art direction and style to it, and the gameplay is kind of neat as well, as you're basically, you know, kind of slashing and preparing to battle away against these forces in order to save the town. There's danger, and basically it's a very unsafe location, so you kind of get right into the action off the bat, and then it sort of flops back and you have to go and battle through all these scenarios with intense large monsters, smaller henchman monsters along the way. It's got action, it's got intensity, and it's got two young souls battling away to try to, you know, save things. That's kind of the gist of it. It can be kind of a little hardcore, but yeah, definitely has some neat gameplay mechanics to it. This is Crusader Kings 3. So this is a very ambitious, large-scale, and while it is the third one, you don't have to have played any of the others or whatnot. You're basically doing simulated dynasties across multiple eras. You are sort of engaging in battles. You are making choices that will impact the future of your throne. You're doing all kinds of crazy things. You're, you know, not just battling, but there's also a lot of political intrigue. There's a lot of specific choices, smart discoveries, and you have to be creative in how you handle all of the problems that pop up. You can play this quite a bit. Like I said, it's a simulation type game. So you can create, you know, go over and over and over and over again, doing different setups, scenarios, and creations across all of these different, you know, eras of this kind of period of time, if that makes sense, and different faction leaders. It's quite neat. Oh, this is Weird West, which is a multi-story, dynamic story thing where it's like, hey, what if the West had weird mythological type things thrown into the action? So yeah, it gets a little crazy, it gets a little weird, and you're sort of interacting with these stories and doing very weird things because, you know, it's kind of like the Weird West. So prepare to become a cowboy or something like that, and also go beyond that, because things are gonna get a little wild out in this world, that is for sure. Good luck out there. This is Far Changing Tides. You are playing as this really rather young individual that has awakened on this water world. You are completing puzzles and solving the challenges that are in your way as you attempt to make your way through this world. It's got a very Limbo-esque kind of feeling to it, with a lot of unique challenges, very stunning visual backdrops, a great sense of atmosphere, mood, and style in what is generally quite an enjoyable time. It certainly has many unique gameplay mechanics and cool events that you will basically work through as you try to figure out what's going on and get a good sense of scope for this world. It really is quite neat and, as mentioned, very stylized and feeling similar to what Limbo presents, which is a pretty cool time. This is Paradise Killer. So you are solving a murder and building a case while playing as Lady Love. It's really, really weird, but also kind of neat. It's very hard to describe. You are making a lot of choices, interacting with a lot of strange characters, exploring a vast landscape, and meeting some rather crazy and quirky individuals. It's very, very weird. It's got some intense music and some cool looking scenes to visit, so you might find that to be quite interesting. Anyways, that's our suggestions list for the month. Be sure to check back next month for a fresh selection. And once again, liking the video is great, subscribing is great as well, and there's always something new to play on Game Pass.